Hi beautiful humans, welcome to my channel here in little old Hawke's Bay, New Zealand. Thanks for joining me. Welcome to all my new subscribers. I've got a whole bunch of new subscribers. I hope you will find something here you like and would keep watching. Today I am going to just turn the camera on and work on finishing this journal. I've got a few unfinished journals that I want to just get those last little bits done. So the first thing I am planning on doing is just putting something on the back of this altered paper clip. These are something I made for the 50 stack challenge with postage stamps, and I really think it suits the theme of this journal. So I am using a sample kit for this journal called Golden Prayer. That's primarily the main kit that I've used. I really love this kit. I love the imagery in it, and I have used it before and really enjoyed it. So what I'm doing is I'm going to get this really lovely soft crocheted lace and attach it to this opposite side of this altered paper clip. Just to soften it and to add a little bit of texture, I'm using art glitter glue to glue that down, and then I'll add the little image that I've cut out from the kit to the back of here, just so that both sides of the altered paper clip have some decoration on them. I could have left it blank with the lines. It's an altered Rolodex card, but I decided I wanted to use one of the images I'd cut out. I'm trying to use up everything I print out these days. How is everybody? I hope you are all well. Like I said, I have some new subscribers, so welcome if you're watching. It would be really great if you stick around and you enjoy the content. Yeah, and any suggestions and feedback, obviously that's what the comment section below is for. But yeah, thank you, and thanks to all my regulars. I appreciate you so much. Alright, so yeah, I'm going to attach this little image, and it pokes up a little bit at the top and the bottom, just marginally. So that's what I'm looking at now. Am I going to cut it down and make it smaller, or what am I going to do? What I decide to do, instead of cutting it, I just grab some of the vintage photo ink and give it a bit of an ink from behind, so that if it does poke through, it's not bright white. I also get my little corner rounder and just round the corners just ever so slightly of that image, and then I glue it down with just some glue stick onto the Rolodex card. Super happy with how that looks, and yeah, just attaching it to the page. I will try my best not to have a whole lot of stuff out of the camera view, but like I said, this is a tall journal. I think it's about 12 inches tall, might even be a bit taller than that. So yeah, but yeah, I love how that looks, and it can be moved around in the journal, which is really, really cool, and it's nice and decorative. So I'm just having a flick through to see what else. I mean, like I said, this journal is pretty much done, but I had a little play with some book pages and ledger and other decorative papers, and had a little go at these little folded tuck spot envelope type things that Heather from Ruby and Pearl did a video a little while ago. Lots of people have been making them. They're super cute, and I had some scraps and I was just having a wee play. So they're just basically a little square of paper, or whatever kind of paper, just folded and then tucked, and then they make these cute little, or big, depending on how big your square is, tuck spots. So yeah, I'm just looking for a space that I would like to put this in my journal. And yeah, so I do a little bit of flicking through and thinking about where I'd like to put it. I think I had a space in my head before I started the video, and then I just couldn't for the life of me remember where it was going to go. So this is just me just testing, auditioning it in different places to see where I think it would look best. Then I think, oh, I better seal up the bottom so if I put anything in it, it doesn't fall through. And I decide I want to go and stitch it. So that's what I'm doing right now, is going to my sewing machine and just running a stitch across the bottom. So I've done that and I think it looks really cute. And then also I have this little bit of bead work that's on some like tulle, and I decide I want to put that on the front of the envelope as well. So I'm just gluing that with some art glitter glue and attaching it to the front of that tiny little tuck spot. Super cute. Love how that looks. Can't wait to fill it with a whole lot of little teeny tiny things in the journal. Maybe it's a little bit small for this really super tall journal, but I actually really love how it looks. So yeah, I'm really pleased with it. So yeah, I decide to attach it to this page, and I'm just having a think now, do I want to actually make the whole thing a little space behind where you could tuck something else? And I do actually end up doing that. So I just glue down one side and across the bottom. I use lots of glue because this has a quite a interesting surface to glue on, and so you can actually pop something behind the actual envelope as well as in it. And so yeah, that's what I decide to do. It's just an option. I don't always leave everything so you can tuck something behind it, but in this case I decided that would be quite cute. I have this little piece that I made. It's a picture from a book, so it's a piece, just a small picture, and I backed it with some old book page and then cut around it with my stamp edge, you know, decorative scissors, and it's just really cute. It's a nativity scene, and so it matches the journal somewhat. And so yeah, I've just inked that up and I'm just popping that in the envelope for now, just making sure it's all glued down. And yep, so there's a little tuck spot at the back, and then obviously the little one in there, and then there's some more tuck spots at the front with the folds. Yeah, so that's that little piece done. So one of the main reasons this journal hasn't actually been completed is I was really unsure about what I wanted on the cover. So I decide today's the day. I don't want to glue anything on there, but I think, oh well, maybe I'll make some kind of closure, decorative closure with it, and rather than just tying a ribbon around it. So I've got this piece of cardstock on my desk, and I have a few leftover pieces from making the journal or making some other journals. And so I have a little bit of a play around with doing a bit of a collage card to go on the front. So I have this image that I've cut out and I really love it. It's one of my favorite images. I think that maybe Heather from Ruby and Pearl uses it, and also so does Luna Rosu. I think that's where I got mine from. Anyway, they're digital kits, and if you are interested in anything and want to know where I got anything, you could just yeah, just leave a comment below and I'll definitely answer you, and if I know, I will tell you. Yeah, so I'm just having a little play and auditioning little things to see what I want on the front of this journal and on this card. And I do end up keeping it quite neutral, but I am using scraps, which I'm really, really pleased about, because again, I'm trying to use up, you know, like the majority of stuff that I print out or pull for a journal, try and use it up rather than putting it all back away again. So yeah, so this is just what I work away on over the next wee while, and I'm loving that very old music manuscript that was given to me by my friend Barb, and yeah, it's beautiful, and I'm using it sparingly, but I do want to use it. So I spend a little bit of time deciding what I want to show, and I'm going to use this piece of wallpaper even though it's got holes in it because I'm going to cover up the holes. And yeah, I feel really good when I use scraps. I don't know about you, but yeah, it just feels good to use stuff up rather than wasting it or putting it back away or putting it in the scrap box, which just is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. I don't know about yours, but mine is huge. So I really like how that looks. I love the music, the really old handwritten music. I love the wallpaper. And so I actually, amazingly enough, make a decision to actually start gluing some things down and just deciding which side I want on the card. So yeah, again, just using my glue stick to glue this down, and I do use a lot because I don't want any of this paper lifting up, and I'm trying to be as careful as possible because also this paper is very old and I'm not sure how brittle it is. I don't actually think it's too bad, but I didn't want to tear it. So yeah, I've got that glued and I place that down, and yeah, and then I go ahead with the wallpaper as well. So once that's all glued down and trimmed at the bottom, I decide I need to put this on, or I start looking at putting this on at the bottom, and I just start thinking maybe it needs a little bit of something else. So that is what I go about looking for now after I've inked around the edges, sort of having a little bit of a think while I do this, obviously. So before doing anything more to the front or the other side, either or, I decide I should maybe think about what I'm going to have on this side of the card. And I have this piece of wallpaper that I removed from the journal because it seemed I had a pocket on it and it was sort of tearing. So I took it off, and I'm thinking, oh well, I actually would really like to use this. I'm just looking at whether I want to put it behind those ladies, but I don't. I decide, no, that would be really good on the back. It's very neutral, but it's got lots of lovely texture to it. It's a beautiful old, genuine old wallpaper. And so I go about cutting that and sizing it and gluing it to the other side of the card. So I've taken the wallpaper over to my paper trimmer and trimmed it down the side, trying to get it as nice and straight as possible. And I decide that I'm going to glue it on. I'm thinking about a pocket, but I'm not sure. So I think, oh well, I'll just glue it on to the board and then decide about a pocket after it's on. And I'm using a lot of glue because it's a really heavily embossed wallpaper, and I want it to really stick well. I don't want it sort of ripping or lifting up. And I use some art glitter glue around the edges, just again to make sure, although I do actually think I'm going to stitch around it because I feel like that will look just really lovely, and also it will add a bit more dementia. I'm the one with the dementia. Dimension and yeah, just prettiness to it, and also secure those edges because this is going to go on, well, initially it's going to go on the outside of the journal. If someone purchases this journal, they can decide if they want to put it somewhere else or use it for something else, and that's perfectly fine. But yeah, I do cut the bottom off. I decide I don't want a pocket on the back. So those ladies are going to cover that hole at the bottom there, where I've obviously been cutting out those little rounded things to go on a envelope, a little policy closure. And so then I have another little play deciding what I want to do. I do have this large prayer card that is from the kit, and I'm wondering whether maybe I decorate the back with that. And so I'm just having a little audition of that while I think about it. I do decide I want to put something behind it, And so I go and grab some sheer fabric that I have that I think will look really pretty behind it. This fabric's like a tulle and it has a gold sort of uh, fleck through it, I guess, and then it has these pearls, and I just think they look so super pretty. This fabric was actually given to me. It's actually not a vintage fabric, and I think you can actually get this if you live in New Zealand or Australia. You can get this at Spotlight. So that's just a sort of a fabric homeware crafty shop in New Zealand or Australia. So I spent a bit of time faffing around with this to get the pearls in place, and in the end, ironically, what I notice as once I have made a decision is that the pearls are held into the tulle with these little metal things, and I notice that they are actually loose. They're kind of coming away, so I actually end up removing the pearls, but I leave the tulle because I really like the gold in it. I don't know if you can see that all that well, but up close it does look really pretty. So yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment, is just deciding how I want to position that tulle underneath that image of those ladies. After a bit of fiddling and thinking, I decide that's how I like them, and I use a little bit of glue stick to attach the tulle, and because I'm putting that tulle on there, I do definitely decide to sew around the edge because that's probably what's going to hold it in place. So I'm still thinking and looking, but yeah, I do end up gluing it down with some glue stick and then gluing the image on top. I use glue stick, but then I actually add quite a decent amount of art glitter glue because that card kind of curves around the journal. Because the journal's soft cover, it kind of curves, so you need lots and lots of glue on that image to really make it stay down. So that's what I'm doing there, a bit of the glue stick, and at some point that's when I realize that those pearls really aren't attached very well and they're gonna fall off, and I don't want that to happen for someone else, so I decide to remove them. And you can't see where they've been, if you know what I mean. Yeah, you can't see where they were. Two of them are fine, so I leave them on because I actually leave those extra hangy bits, the hangy bits, I leave those on, and someone, if they purchased this journal, could remove those if they wanted to. So I decided to fold that little bit under, that little extra bit. It gets a bit globby with the glue, so I'm just giving it a wipe, and then I position it on top of the tulle and glue it down. This is where I realised that it needs more glue, that the art glitter glue isn't really coming through the tulle, so I lift it and put some more art glitter on the tulle side so it's extra gluey. And then this is where I realised those pearls they're not really working, and so I think, oh, shall I actually not have the tulle? But then it's really well glued, and I think, oh no, I'll just take the pearls out because I really love the gold on it. And yeah, so yeah, it's okay. I'm disappointed, but that's just the way it is. I'd rather I took them off than they fall off at some later date, like I said before. So I'm just popping it on the front of the journal here to see what it looks like, and then having a wee look at the back, thinking, do I want it plain, or am I going to decorate that side as well? And this is sort of where I think, oh well, what else can go on here? I've got this beautiful braid at the side of me here, and I think that would look really beautiful on there. I'm not really sure where, and after just having a few little tries out of it, I decide to take the card to the sewing machine, and I put some gold thread in the sewing machine and I sew all the way around, which secures the tulle and just secures the edges of that sort of heavy wallpaper which is on both sides, and just really finishes it off really beautifully, I think. So I'm back from the sewing machine, and just on the reverse side I'm just pushing down around the stitches because the needle pushes the paper up, and so if you use your bone folder just to run along that stitching and push all those little bits of paper down, it looks good on both sides that way. So that's what I'm doing there, and I'm really pleased with how the gold thread looks. At one point for some reason it actually snapped on me, and so I had to go back a little bit and do it and repeat the sewing, but it's not that you can notice. So really super happy with that. So I go away and have a break and have some lunch to have a think about what more I want to do with it, and I've picked out some eyelets here. They are the sort of big We Are Memory Keepers ones, and I decide I'm going to use those on this to hold the journal shut as the closure. And so yeah, I'm just using my crocodile to squish the backs of those, and they're nice big sort of neutral eyelets. I'm really happy with how they look, and I think they blend in really nicely. I did think about the gold because, you know, I've got the gold stitching. I don't have a problem mixing silver and gold. I used to, but I actually really like it, and it's kind of Christmas time, so, you know, I'm all good with it. Not that this is an overtly Christmas journal, although it is kind of nativity based, I guess. The other thing I've done is I went to the sewing machine and grabbed some lace and trims and make a big cluster, and I decide that's how I'm going to finish decorating this. I'm trying here to curve the corners, and then I realize pretty quickly that it's way too thick for my corner chomper to manage, so I leave it be, and then it's just a matter of deciding how I want this lace cluster to go, and I kind of do want it sort of curved around the corner sort of, and so it's just a matter of deciding which side I want it, and I do settle with having it on the side here, and yeah, I really love it's a kind of a bit extra, but I really love how it looks. I think it suits the journal, it suits the image, and it just gives something a little bit extra for the front that's removable. So you can take it off and the journal can be worked in or written in or whatever, and it's not going to get in the way of that, but it just adds a bit of dimension to the front of the journal. I think I really like it. So yeah, I just go about attaching that, and then actually I decide to put a little bit of sort of bling on it as well, just to give it a little bit of extra as well. So I'm really not sure how I'm going to stick that down at this point, but yeah, let's just work on the fabric and getting that down first, and then we'll work on how we're going to attach that bling. I'm not quite sure. And yeah, so I'm using art glitter glue initially to glue this, but I actually end up changing my mind and going to the Aleene's because it's quite a heavy, thick piece of fabric and lace, and I decide it needs just something a little bit more. So yeah, I've positioned the lace, and now I'm just adding the Aleene's glue, tacky glue there to really give that a strong hold. And yeah, just cutting off some threads that are there. It's super pretty. I love making these. They're one of my favorite things to make, and you know, at every opportunity, I don't think I have a journal that doesn't have one of these in it. I've been collecting up lots of grungy, and I've done some rust dyeing and stuff, and so even those journals, I know when it comes to the time, it's going to have a big lace, whatever you call these things, on it. I just love them. Anyway, so there we are. We're just positioning that and kind of curving it around the corner there. Normally I always have my lace ruffles and everything quite straight, but these ones I really like them a little bit sort of framing a corner sometimes. Yeah, so I really like how that looks. And yeah, it's glued down nice and securely. And then I'm thinking about putting this on there, and I am thinking to myself, how am I going to glue this securely on here? Often I will stitch things on, like my little tiny bling things, often I'll stitch. Art glitter glue seems to work really well on metal, depending on how heavy it is. And also the other thing that works really well is collage medium, but I was just thinking, oh, maybe because it's attaching to fabric, the collage medium won't be quite good enough. Yeah, so I have a look at the pearls, but I decided I really like this sort of sparkly bling, a nod to Christmas, I guess. So that's what I decide to do. Obviously, while I'm thinking about it, I decide to get the crinkle ribbon out and thread that through as well. So that's what I'm doing here, just getting my length of this sort of soft grey seam binding, which I've crinkled, and I'm just going to thread that through, and it's going to go along around the back. So yeah, I'm just putting that through the hole there. Clearing a bit of space and grabbing the journal so that I can just have a look to see what this is actually going to look like once it's finished and on the journal. So I just wrap it round. Could wrap the ribbon around twice over the image, but I try both and I decide I quite like it without the image with the ribbon around it, but I'll probably allow enough so that whoever the recipient of this journal is can decide. And so while I've been doing that, I've been thinking about this piece that I want to attach. And actually I decide before I attach it, I think, oh, what if I glue some paper on the back to cover that shiny piece, and then I glue that to the fabric. So that's what I end up doing, and it works really well. So I put a load of glue on that and place it, and then just press it firmly into that lace and ribbon to secure it. And yeah, it's the next day and I've checked it and it looks perfect. It seems really well secured. So yeah, totally pleased with what I got done today, and I hope you enjoyed watching and hanging out with me today. I really appreciate you being here. And any questions, of course, just ask down below. That's me putting something really heavy on that on that piece of jewelry. And yeah, so what we've done today, just to recap, is just decorated this little altered paperclip slash Rolodex card. Obviously I'm off camera there, which is really excellent. Well done, Kate. And then the little envelope tuck spot thing. And everybody knows Ruby and Pearl. I'll link her video below if you want to see how those little tuck spots are made. And then obviously the front piece, which I'm absolutely really thrilled with. I think it's really just finishes that journal cover off. So thanks so much for hanging out with me today. I really appreciate it. I hope you're all well. Take care. And the next video will be a flip through. Thanks so much. Bye.